Some houses don't wait for people. They choose their victims. Tonight, it chose us. When Hamza and his family moved into the old colonial mansion on the outskirts of the city, they believed they had finally escaped their past struggles. The house was huge, silent, and disturbingly cold, even in broad daylight. The neighbors never looked directly at it, some even hurried past with their eyes lowered, whispering prayers under their breath. Hamza assumed it was superstition. Until the first night. On that very night, strange scratching noises echoed from the attic. Not the kind of noise rats make, these were slow, deliberate, rhythmic, as if something intelligent was pacing above them. Hamza's younger sister, Maywish, claimed she saw a woman standing in the upstairs hallway, her hair dripping wet as though she had just drowned. Their mother dismissed it as imagination. But Hamza wasn't convinced. Because he, too, heard a whisper outside his window. A woman's whisper. Soft, broken, desperate. "Let me in." He froze. The whisper came again, closer this time. Yet when he gathered the courage to pull the curtain aside, there was no one outside. Only the stillness of the night and the long shadows of old trees. But something was wrong. The glass was wet, as if someone with drenched hands had touched it moments before. And on the fogged windowpane, there was a message. Night 1. Hamza didn't know why, but he felt it deep in his bones. This was the beginning of something sinister. Something planned. Something waiting. The house wasn't just old. The next day began normally, but the atmosphere inside the house felt heavier, suffocating even. Maywish refused to go upstairs, claiming she could hear breathing behind the attic door. Their mother dismissed her again, insisting on keeping the family calm. But Hamza noticed her hands trembling when she touched the doorknob. She felt it too. Later that evening, as the family prepared dinner, all the lights in the house flickered violently. Not a random power issue, each bulb flickered in the same rhythm as last night's scratching. Then suddenly everything shut off. In the darkness, the kitchen radio, unplugged since they moved in, turned on by itself. A woman's voice crackled through the static. Second night. Hamza's heart pounded. He grabbed the radio and threw it to the floor, shattering it, but the voice kept speaking through the broken pieces. The static grew louder until it sounded like someone screaming from underwater. When the power returned, the radio finally went silent. That night, Hamza woke up gasping for breath. The room smelled like stagnant, dirty water. Something cold brushed against his neck. He heard faint dripping sounds, 1 drop. 2 drops. 3. When he opened his eyes, his bed sheets were soaked. He panicked and jumped off the bed. The floor beneath his feet rippled like water. He stumbled backward, heart racing. When he blinked again, the floor returned to normal. Dry. Solid. As if nothing had happened. But on his bedroom Hamza's fear grew when Maywish refused to speak the next morning. Her eyes were swollen, her voice shaky, and she kept clutching her hair as if something had pulled it violently during the night. At breakfast, she broke down crying and whispered. She was standing by my bed. Dripping. Staring at me. Her face wasn't normal. Before Hamza could question further, a loud thud echoed from upstairs. The attic. Their mother tried to call the landlord, but her phone had no signal, only a strange sound like gurgling water. When Hamza picked up the landline phone to try, a female voice whispered into his ear. "Come up. Please. I'm cold." He slammed the phone down, but the voice continued echoing in his mind. By evening, the temperature of the house dropped so drastically that their breath became visible. The walls felt damp, as if covered in moisture from deep underwater. Mold spots appeared out of nowhere, spreading across the ceiling like veins. Unable to endure the tension, Hamza decided to check the attic alone. The door creaked open, releasing a wave of cold, rotten, swamp-like smell. He stepped inside and froze when he saw it. Wet footprints. Small, bare, and leading toward the far corner. Suddenly, something moved, slowly rising from the darkness. A woman, hair long and dripping, her skin pale blue, her eyes hollow like 2 empty pits. She dragged herself toward him, leaving puddles where she crawled. Hamza bolted out of the attic. Terrified, Hamza sneaked out early morning to the nearest shop, desperate to find someone who would talk about their house. At first, everyone avoided eye contact. Finally, an old man approached him quietly. "You shouldn't be living there," he muttered. "That house drowned 3 people." Hamza's blood ran cold. The man explained that 25 years ago, a woman named Ruxana and her 2 children were found dead in the basement of the same house, fully submerged in water, despite the basement having no water connection, no piping, and no flooding history. Their bodies were twisted, as if they had struggled to escape something unseen. The father survived, but he went insane. He claimed the house drowned them. Not water. The house. Hamza rushed back home immediately. When he entered, he found Maywish sitting on the floor, staring blankly at the wall. On the wall, wet handprints slowly appeared one by one, forming the shape of a woman reaching out. Their mother had locked herself in the bedroom, reciting prayers, refusing to come out. That night, the house shook violently, doors slamming, windows rattling, water dripping from light bulbs. Every tap in the house turned on by itself, but instead of water, thick black liquid flowed out, smelling like rotting swamp. Hamza tried turning off the main supply, nothing changed. The house was producing the water itself. At midnight, they heard a scream from the basement. A woman's scream. Choking, dro. Hamza gathered all his courage and slowly descended the basement stairs. Each step echoed like he was walking into a deep cavern. The air grew colder and thicker until every breath felt like inhaling water. At the bottom, the basement floor was covered in a thin layer of water, rippling, moving, despite no source. Hamza shined his flashlight across the room and froze. In the far corner, two small children stood still, soaked from head to toe. Their heads hung low, water dripping from their fingers. Plip. 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 When Hamza whispered, "Who are you?" both children raised their heads at the same time. Their faces were swollen, bluish, and lifeless, eyes bulging like they had drowned moments earlier. Suddenly, they screamed, an ear-piercing screech that made the water rise violently around them. The basement began to flood, water gushing from the walls themselves. Hamza ran toward the stairs, but something grabbed his ankle. A cold, slender hand. The drowned woman emerged from below the water, pulling him down, her eyes filled with rage and sorrow. She whispered under the rushing water. "You took my home." Hamza kicked free, scrambling up the stairs, slipping repeatedly as the water level rose unnaturally fast. He slammed the door shut behind him, but water seeped through the edges, pushing upward like a living thing. On the door, new words formed. Night 5. Hamza fell to his knees, shaking uncontrollably. Only 2 nights left. The next day, Maywish's behavior became horrifying. She spoke in a broken, watery voice, repeating phrases that weren't hers. "It's cold. I can't breathe. She's coming. Night 6. Night 6. Her skin began to turn pale, bluish veins appeared on her neck. She refused to eat, refused to sleep, and stared at the walls for hours as if she could see someone moving behind them. Their mother tried to take her outside, but the house slammed all doors shut at once. Every window sealed itself, glass turning foggy from inside. Hamza realized the truth. The house wasn't just haunting them. It was choosing someone to replace the drowned family. And Maywish was the chosen one. At night, Maywish walked through the house as if sleepwalking. The lights flickered whenever she passed. Water pooled under her feet with every step. Hamza followed her silently as she moved toward the attic, slow, stiff, lifeless. When she opened the attic door, a massive wave of icy water surged out, throwing Hamza backward. And in the center of the attic stood the drowned woman, her hair floating unnaturally, her arms open as if waiting for a child. Maywish walked toward her. Hamza screamed, pulling his sister back, but the water rose like a wall, separating them. The drowned woman looked at him and whispered. Night 6. The attic water burst downward through the ceiling, flooding the entire second floor. Hamza held Maywish tightly as the house trembled. Tomorrow. By the 7th night, the house was alive, breathing, shifting, groaning with hunger. Every corner dripped endlessly. Dark water seeped from cracks, forming pools that moved like veins across the floors. At exactly midnight, the walls burst open. Water exploded into every room, sweeping the family off their feet. Their mother screamed for help as she was dragged toward the basement door by invisible force. Hamza tried to pull her back, but the current was too strong. The drowned woman appeared again, this time towering, monstrous, her body swollen and decomposed. Her mouth opened unnaturally wide, spilling black water as she chanted. Night 7. A family for a family. Hamza clung to Maywish as the water rose above their heads. Everything became blurry, cold, silent. He felt hands grabbing him from beneath, pulling him deeper into darkness. He kicked and thrashed but the water thickened like tar. He could hear the drowned children laughing around him. Just as he felt his lungs collapsing, something changed. Maywish suddenly screamed, so loud it echoed through the entire house. The water froze. The drowned woman jerked backward. Maywish's voice didn't sound like hers anymore. It sounded powerful, ancient. "You won't take us." The house shook violently. Windows shattered. The water reversed direction, swirling toward the attic like a massive whirlpool. The drowned woman screamed as she was sucked upward, her body twisting unnaturally before the water drained completely. The house fell silent. Hamza gasped for air, coughing violently as he held Maywish. They survived. But when Hamza looked at the wall, a fresh message dripped slowly. For now, the haunting wasn't over. The house was patient. And it wanted them back.